Showtime. Shawn Porter has to strip naked and cut off his cane rows to make weight for his first WBC title defense. You're watching Remstar Says So. Okay, guys, let's get straight into this one. Showtime Porter must have been sweating yesterday at the weigh-in for his first title defense against Ugas. Showtime Porter came in weighing at about 148, I believe it was. There we go, 148.8 pounds on his first weigh-in. And Shawn Porter looked like he had shit the bed. He was then given, I believe, 2 or 3 hours to try and make weight. He came back and reweighed, and at that point, he was still too heavy. You could see the dismay in Showtime Porter's face. He then went away again and came back because he was still within the allotted time. At that point, they started cutting off his cane rows, and he had to like strip fully naked. Now that his hair is all messed up and jumbled up, don't be surprised if you're going to see Shawn Porter come into the ring now with a fresh trim and shape up for that fight. What can I say? Well, clearly, having long hair definitely doesn't help. And if I was a fighter, maybe I'd be shaving my head bald for every fight to get a couple of ounces or pounds down to help me make the weight if I'm not fighting at the heavyweight division. Shawn Porter said that it's not that he wasn't taking Ugas serious. He says that it was more of a case of him not doing the business in preparation. Um, the one thing that a fighter doesn't want to do is lose his belt on the scales. I mean, as a fighter, you should always be sort of in or around your sort of match weight or around where you can sort of get to your ideal match weight within, your allotted training camp. As a fighter who's fighting towards a weight category, that is your main job to be at the weight and also, to get yourself ready for the fight. A lot of fighters, what they do is, especially at the sort of lower weight categories, they do sort of balloon up because a lot of these guys, they really force themselves to be as light as possible to give what they believe to be the personal advantage fighting down um, at lower weight categories. But at but as you can see, it is tough, and the older a fighter gets, the harder it is to sort of maintain whichever weight category that they've been in. That's why you see as fighters sort of progress throughout the years, a lot of like the sort of lighter fighters do sort of step up throughout the weight categories, just because it does get harder and harder and harder to keep making the weight. My predictions for this fight is I think Showtime Porter's going to win. I think that Ugas is going to give him a tough fight. I think that Showtime Porter will be looking for a knockout, but don't be surprised if this fight goes to like the decision. I would expect a unanimous decision or, a majority decision to Showtime Porter. After this fight, if Porter gets through, which we expect him to, I really want to see him looking to sort of get a unification in. When you look at the PBC, they hold four of the five welterweight champions, with the fifth being Terence Crawford over at Top Rank with Bob Arum. There's lots of fights that could be made. Keith Thurman holds the WBA Super. Manny Pacquiao holds the WBA Regular. You've also got Errol Spence who's fighting um, Mikey Garcia towards the end of this month. I did make a video previously saying don't expect too many unifications, especially when it comes to Al Heyman fighters. And the major reason why is because Al Heyman has this joint sort of viewership deal with Fox and Showtime, where he has to put on a certain amount of shows, and they're going to expect a certain amount of championship fights. Because of that nature, Al Heyman's going to want to keep his champions separate, so we might not see many, if any, sort of Al Heyman unification fights going forwards, so that he can keep Fox Sports and Showtime sort of happy. Let me know what your thoughts are for this fight. Do you agree with me? Do you think that Shawn Porter's going to sort of run through Ugas? Do you think he's going to be a tough one? Um, you know, having looking at this undercard here, there's nobody really that I want to watch. It's a huge undercard actually, but like realistically, if I'm gonna watch this fight, I'll be waking up just to see the Porter Ugas fight. Like none of these fighters sort of tick any boxes for a fight that I want to watch. So that's basically what's happening for me. Shawn Porter is looking in great shape, and I'd be keen to see what he's gonna come in the ring tomorrow. From what I've been told, the WBC doesn't have a second weight check on the day of the fight, so Shawn Porter could be anything of like maybe 20 pounds heavier on the night of the fight. So you know, let's see what happens. I don't think that Ugas has got a chance in hell. I think it's just a pushover fight for Porter to get some money under the belt and maybe sort of build himself up for if he is gonna fight somebody in that PBC stable. Or maybe you could even see a spanner in the works. Maybe if Kell Brook can get his ass back down to 147, you might see Porter versus Brook too. Because obviously Kell Brook was the one who relieved Shawn Porter and gave him his first L of his IBF championship. And you might see them two fighting again, especially if DAZN and Eddie Hearn have their way, because they'll probably stick it on Sky Sports pay-per-view, and then DAZN will put some upfront money on it as well. So that would be an interesting one. Let me know your thoughts. Hit like, hit subscribe, comment. You're watching Remstar Says So. Showtime. Shawn Porter has to strip naked and cut off his cane rows to make weight for his first WBC title defense. You're watching Remstar Says So.